Welcome to Allworth's Money Matters. Scott Hansen.
Pat McLean.
Glad you are with us today. This is an exciting day for us, Pat, because we started this program over 30 years ago, on the radio.
Okay.
Last week was our last week that we aired on terrestrial radio. We're now 100% podcasts.
Okay.
And what is great about that for us, for years, when you're at radio, we're four stops you'd have to do. Middle of the hour, bottom of the hour.
A quarter of the hour,
yes.
bottom of the hour, three-quarters of the
Yes.
hour.
And on the post strike, you had to hit it, right? So you're talking to somebody and you're looking at the clock. You're talking to somebody, you're looking at the clock. You're trying to wrap it up because you got to shut up at 45. And then we remember we cut a deal with the radio, say, look, we're only going to do it at the bottom of the hour. So no commercials at 15 and 45. Now we don't have to worry about any of that.
Oh, I didn't notice it. That's why the clock doesn't count
it's not
down.
no countdown anymore.
Well, why do we have it at all?
Just to give us an idea how long we're talking, in case we start boring everybody.
Okay. Yeah.
So some weeks we might have podcasts that are 35 minutes, and others we might have some that are an hour, and it depends on.
Sometimes we'll drone on for a lot longer.
Yeah. So
Yes.
Anyway, if you're listening, we're glad you're listening.
Thank you for listening.
I appreciate the. And we're recording this on Thursday, February the 5th, and I was just I couldn't help but notice there's the last week there's been wild swings in Bitcoin and other of those tokens to the negative, and then gold and silver on fire and then blew up and back some stabilization and
just to put it mildly,
crazy.
Yes.
Just
I got to tell you, do you believe that because it's anonymous and you don't have the regulations, Bitcoin's anonymous.
Yeah.
That people are manipulating the market in cryptocurrencies?
Well, the smaller one's easy to do.
Very easy to do.
Of course I believe that.
Yes, but even in Bitcoin, could groups of people be manipulating the market? Which is doing false flag trades, moving the share price up by selling back and forth to each other to move the price up, and then actually then liquidating at the top. And because if you see the history of it, seems to be pretty consistent with these run-ups and drop-offs, And if you were a regulated security, anytime you took more than a 5% stake in it, you have to disclose to the SEC. But none of this exists in these marketplaces.
So who knows how many people are? Who knows?
Right? I mean, it could be.
It could be big players.
And people would say, "Well, they have their wallets," but one person can have more than one wallet. You could have 50 wallets, or 100 wallets, or 1,000 wallets. I was with my children this last week, and I had this discussion with my boys because they used to play in this crypto, and I was saying, did anyone think that this could be happening? And they're like, well, we don't know, and you have no way of knowing, right?
We have no way of knowing what the ultimate value of crypto is going to be. I don't care Bitcoin. I don't care the fact that there's supposedly some limited number of tokens. It doesn't mean it's of any value. I mean, at least the gold, silver, they're used in commercial applications.
At the end of the day, gold and silver's price is based on the cost of what it takes to get out of the ground. That you could argue with me all day long about it, but it's a commodity just like any other.
There might be a short-term blip,
correct,
because it takes a while to build mines and all that.
Yeah, and over time it should keep up. But silver hit,
By the way, we are broadcasting from. We're in the town of Folsom in Northern California, which is pretty much the heart of the gold rush. And you go outside here in the fields, you see the piles of stones where they turned up the soil.
Their tailings.
Yeah.
Where they,
I don't know why I brought that up, just because we're talking about gold. But
yes, in fact, we have a conference room called the Gold Rush Room. So there you go.
But to your point, it all comes down to
but the big, and look, digital currency. Oh, I completely get it. I mean, for transnational payment systems, there is nothing more efficient.
Yeah.
Nothing. Right? But it's open for manipulation.
Well, there could be,
And
there's obviously lots of different
and black
coins.
market. Oh, the black market and the stable coin. I just
Well, the stable coin makes some sense for international trade.
Oh, yes.
Right?
And there are some stable coins that are actually audited so that they actually hold
That's
something
right.
behind them. But it's been interesting. Silver is you haven't seen
And if
things
I
like
were
this.
if I were an investor saying I believe that this is, like, for example, stable coins have a future, I would invest in those companies.
Like Coinbase or
Not that I'm recommending any of that stuff. But,
that's right.
So I'm just stating.
But we haven't seen fluctuations like this since the Hunt brothers in the 80s.
The silver market, yes.
And the silver markets tried to corner the market.
The Hunt brothers, that's exactly
Hunt
right.
brothers, yeah.
Late 70s, early 80s?
Yeah. Not the same as the Kepchip family, different Hunts.
Okay. just
to clarify.
Well, I mean, I look at, and we've been doing this so long. I just remember other times when gold's on fire. Clients never bring it up when gold's down. They bring it up when gold's had a big run up. What do you think about gold? And look, if you want to have a couple percentage of your portfolio in gold, have a couple percentage of your portfolio in gold. But it doesn't produce anything. It's a pure speculative bet. And if your speculation is that this country's going to fall apart, that we're going to have civil war, and it's going to be regime change and all that stuff, you better be a good leader with a lot of young people with a lot of guns. I mean, I hate to say it. Gold's not going to be your solution if it comes to that.
Honestly, yeah. Food becomes more.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I don't know. Anyway, let's take some calls because that's the best part of our show. So
we think so.
Yeah. And to join us, you can email us at questions@moneymatters.com. We're starting here with Todd. Todd, you're with Allworth's Money Matters.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Great.
So I've been listening for, several months, and I always enjoy your banter.
Thank you.
So I've got a couple questions today. I'll start out with the questions, and then I'll kind of backfill the information as you need it.
Perfect.
So my wife and I are in our 60s, and I've been mostly retired for about a year. And we've got 3 20-something children. And the question I have is kind of philosophical about that is, we call it strategic gifting. As they're getting started, we help them with Roth accounts, help them with 401ks, help them with HSAs accounts. We do it so that they can hopefully maximize that, whatever those opportunities are for them, because they can't do it on their own because of their income level right now. And for us, we have enough to retire on. So
you mean their income's too low, and so you're helping them?
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Right. They just can't. They couldn't maximize those accounts.
I get it. It's hard
on the income.
20s.
Exactly. And so instead of kind of waiting to inherit stuff later, we say, well, this is strategic gifting. And we try to do it in a way that it's always an investment, and there's always a tax advantage potentially if they can.
Okay.
And we try to pair it with financial education. So my question about that activity is, what's your experience with clients when they do that with children in their 20s? And how much is too much of that? And, what are the pitfalls for doing those activities?
It runs the gamut.
It all depends on the child.
Right.
I mean, I've seen it in the same family where, wow, that's pretty exciting. This kid did incredible things with it. This person just did a terrible job.
Right. Well, as my dad would say, I've got one of each.
Okay.
So, my 3 kids. Now, to their credit, none of them, they've all kept the money in the accounts. So none of them have taken out money of the accounts, and they look at it as long-term money.
Okay.
So
okay. Well, I'd call that a success.
Yeah, I would as well.
I would call that a success.
Right. So we're about 2-3 years into it. So it looks like they're going to kind of hold fast and not take money out of accounts to spend it on, lifestyle stuff.
Okay. So
and I like to think of it as matching their efforts. And I stole this line from somebody else, but it resonated well with me because my oldest daughter's 30. I've got kids, and I struggle with the same issues, right? but matching their efforts. And because money is a tool and it's a magnifier. And if sometimes that tool can be used for great, beautiful things, and sometimes it can be used for disastrous things. And it's like the last thing you want to do is demotivate a child.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm worried about, is trying to ride that line of helping them and making sure that they understand the power of it, but not demotivating.
Well,
them.
I
think you're doing a great job.
It sounds like a perfect way.
Yes, yes. And so one of the ways to think about it is if the money goes into a Roth, right? It's pretty protected, right? They understand what the idea behind it is and that it's for the retirement. And the other thing that actually, and we've done it with, I've done it with my kids, and I have had clients that have done it all the time, which is when it comes to the purchase of the first-time home, is a loan to the child, typically 20% to qualify so that they get below the PMI, payment mortgage insurance, on a down payment, and then forgiveness of that loan on an annual basis based upon the gifting levels.
Okay.
Right. So you and your spouse can each gift.
You figure out
18,000.
38,000.
Is it 19,000 this year, something like that? So 38,000. So and I actually nephews and nieces where we're like, oh, okay, you've got the resources and you can use it, and then you charge a market rate, and you do have to have a loan agreement in place.
Yeah, I know how that works.
Okay.
I won't. That's another story.
Okay.
I mean, the good thing, Todd, you're in your 60s, right? So you're relatively young. Odds are one of you are going to be alive in the 90s, maybe both you and your wife. So you got a lot of time here. And I like the fact that it's not like, I don't know what your net worth is, but it's not like you say, oh, kid, here's $1 million. Hopefully you do well with it. It's you're helping them out on some very long-term financial investments, right? When you talk about the Roth and the 401k, those are really for their old age. And then as you see them progress in life, and if seem like they're doing well, then you can do more, and you can help them with a house. And I mean, the reality is, a lot of places, homes, they're so dang expensive that you got a kid living in San Jose or Silicon Valley. There's no way they could afford a house like
even a small 2-bedroom, one bath.
Yeah, it's $1 million, more than $1 million. So,
well, I think it's true in a lot of other markets too.
Absolutely,
no, that's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. But to me, it sounds like you're doing a good. And if you worry about it, look at the first few years. I actually was gifting my children. I got copies of their statements of their brokerage accounts.
What we do is when we do taxes with them, we go over their accounts.
Oh, perfect.
They show me the accounts, and I help them figure out how to monitor it. And one of them's using Monarch Money, to look at her cash flows.
Perfect.
And she's got an Etsy business too, so that's kind of educational.
And what are their educations? Are they formally educated, your children?
Yeah, my oldest political science major in college.
Oh, I'd watch for that. I'm joking.
Well, yeah, I know.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
We're working on the marketplace. So,
I'm joking.
My middle son's a union electrician. He's doing very well.
Perfect.
And didn't acquire any debt in that whole process.
Nice.
And my youngest is in college, and she's in her senior year, and she's got a pretty good Etsy business going right now.
Nice.
That's awesome.
So
kind of a nice surprise.
Wow.
If you're open and
she's got a business in college making money?
Yeah, she's doing much better than she was profitable in the first year.
Oh, good for her.
It's unusual.
That's wonderful.
It's okay to sit down once a year with the kids. It sounds like you do, and have a family like this is what mom and dad have.
We do. We're kind of sitting. I probably every 3 or 4 months, and it's almost to the point I have to be careful. I don't want to bug them too much.
Yeah.
Because if I don't want to make every conversation about money.
Yeah.
So
well, it's okay to have some.
I recall a story, Todd.
Yeah.
This was years. I don't know, a long time ago, but it resonated with me because this gentleman was, I think he was probably late 50s, 60s. We're doing his retirement plan, and we're talking about his kids. He had 3 kids. 2 were very responsible, had good careers, saving. He's trying to help them. And then I'm like, what about the other kid? Well, that one, he's somewhere in South America. We're not quite sure where he is today. And I said, what do you mean? They said, well, he'll work somewhere for 3 or 4 weeks, save up enough money so he can just travel around, and then he won't work for 3 or 4 months somewhere down in Latin America. And
Right.
they're telling me the story, and I said, maybe he's the one who's got this figured out. We're all working our butts off, planning all this complexity, and he's just enjoying life. But the reality is you have 3 kids. They're all going to be different. And some families are really careful about making sure whatever dollar amount they give to one kid, give it the same amount. And if they give one kid a certain amount in 1 year, they'll keep track of inflation to make sure that they give the next, the kid the same amount. Some people do. Other people like, well, this kid needs more than the other, so I'm going to help this person in a different way.
We're staying roughly equal.
Yeah, but it's your choice how you want to handle all that.
But the reality,
Exactly.
if you're sitting down with them, once or twice a year and going over the finances, and you're pretty open with it. And look, I've found that the ones that it works best with, this is based on my experience with my clients, is the kids that actually understand that this money didn't land on mom and dad, that mom and dad actually worked for this money, and that it was important to mom and dad. All right.
Oh yeah, they understand that because I'm a first generation college graduate, and they know all that story.
Yeah, perfect.
And that I paid for my wife and I both paid for college. So
Perfect.
So.
And you paid for a lot more college. You paid for 3 more college degrees as well.
One's an electrician.
One's an electrician. Anyway,
right, making more than the others. And
Well, he paid for his. So,
anyway, appreciate the call.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Todd. It's a everyone looks at it a little bit differently.
Yeah. I've seen them where kids inherit money and one invested it all and the other
I had
was gone in 6 months.
My wife and I typically once a year we do a cycling vacation. On our 10-year anniversary, we took a trip with a company that does active travel, and we said let's try to do one a year, and that's what we've pretty much done for the last. We've been married now 33 years, so that's you can do the math. I mean, this trip we were on 2 years ago. There was a family that their kids were probably 15 and 18, somewhere right in there. And he was telling me that, and he hadn't worked for years. Came from like his early 20s. The family business was sold, and he hasn't really had a job since. But his when his grandpa died, he left all of his grandkids a trust so that when they reached age 23, they'd get $1 million or $2 million. Maybe it was $2 million. I think it was $2 million. But his kids were born after Grandpa died and weren't included.
Oh.
And he said to me, I'm glad they're not receiving it. And I said, really? So he said, yeah. He says, for some of the grandkids, it's been a blessing. But he says, he starts naming this kid and this kid, like doesn't do anything. All he does is surf all the time, has no career motivation whatsoever because he thinks he has plenty of money. It was just interesting, the fact that he's like, I'm glad I'm glad my kids aren't getting $2 million.
Because the roll of the dice said it could have ruined one of their lives, in which case it wasn't worth it.
Well, you have enough kids.
Scott, I had this friend in high school and college that got a settlement because he lost an eye in a BB gun accident. And he was so much fun to hang out with till the money ran out.
Until the money ran out. Then you weren't friends anymore?
No, I would see him tangentially, but he was always having big parties, and it was great.
Until the money ran out. All right, let's continue on. We're talking with Max. Max, you're with Allworth's Money Matters.
Hey, good morning. It's great to speak to you.
Yeah,
Well,
thank you.
Before we start, I just wanted to thank Bob Brinker, Jonathan Pond, Tom Sullivan, and especially Dave Ramsey and Pat and Scott
Well, thank you. I'm
you.
glad
All
we made
in
that list.
We're all in the list.
for the wisdom and education and motivation that you changed my life.
Oh, well, thank you.
And-
Thank you.
and Because of you, I think I made some really good decisions. And my question today is regarding Roth conversions.
Okay.
I think I want to convert all my retirement accounts to Roth ASAP, thinking to go to the top of the 24% bracket.
Okay.
I have all my numbers for you.
All right. How old are you?
Because I'm 65. I'm married. I'm a retired teacher. My wife is a retired state worker, and she's 61. I have 2 adult children, no debt except my house. And I have all the other numbers for you if you're ready.
You mentioned Tom Sullivan, so I'm guessing you live in Sacramento region.
That is correct.
And do you plan on staying in California the rest of your life?
I think so. It'll depend a little bit on what happens with my kids.
How old are your kids?
One is 25 and one is 21.
And are they still in California?
They are. They're still in my house.
It's funny. My older 2 kids both live outside the state and both have plans to come back to California.
Well, I don't think my wife and I could ever agree on a place to move to. So she wants tropical. I want Utah. I don't think we'll ever agree. So we'll probably die here.
Okay.
So what's your family income?
So I was looking at that. I have 2 pensions to Social Security, and I'm doing some subbing still at the district.
Mm-hmm.
My wife gets PERS, and she's going to start Social Security when she turns 62 in May. So our total monthly income at that point should be about $15,744.
Okay. And how much money do you have in IRAs?
I have total rollover IRAs between me and my wife. We have 647,677, and total in Roth is 398,300.
Okay.
And what do you have outside?
Yeah, brokerage accounts.
Well, very little. I have 3,000 in an emergency fund and about 3,000 in my checking account, and that's it.
And are you living comfortably on the 180?
Yes, I've never. I've only made one distribution, and that was to buy a truck for my Roth. Other than that, we're living on our income without touching the retirement accounts.
And the money you took for the truck, did you pull it out of your traditional or your Roth account?
My Roth, because I didn't want to mess around with taxes for that
at the time you did it.
And and the funny, anyway, so my questions is how do I do this?
Well,
how do I pay the taxes? How do I
the challenge you have is you don't have a lot of money outside of retirement accounts. So in order to pay the tax on a conversion, you're going to have to withdraw extra, right? So if you're going to convert 20 grand, you're going to have to pull out 30 grand, right?
And so
I understand.
Yeah, but so if you think about it, it's for naught.
Why do you state that?
Well, because look, if you take $30,000, right, and I invest it for 10 years, and it grows at 7.2%.
If tax rates don't change, it's irrelevant what you do.
Thank you. I was going to go through the math, but you're more succinct. Which is the numbers the same on an after-tax basis, whether you do a Roth or an IRA. The only benefit of doing the Roth IRA is when you pay the tax from an outside source, not the IRA itself. If tax rates, this is with the premise of tax rates. But here's the thing that Scott, that comes into this is, well, what happens if when required minimum distributions come out, you actually start doing qualified charitable distributions out of your required minimum distribution? There's no more tax advantage ways of giving money to a charity than a qualified charitable distribution.
If that was your intent.
Well, I'm going to ask him, is your intent to give any money to charities?
It's not clear to me.
Okay.
I'm going to do that.
And then the other is, if your children end up in a lower tax bracket than you do, and they inherit the money, or they live in a state that has no income tax and they inherit the money, then the advantage is to keep the money in an IRA. I could not think of a compelling reason for you to actually convert to a Roth IRA.
Well, yeah, you can. if he believes tax rates are going to go up.
And he's going to pay, if
you had the money outside, if you had a substantial amount in savings, brokerage account, that sort of thing, in order to pay the tax on the conversion, it makes a lot more sense than having to pull the additional money out of the IRA to pay.
Well, what I've been doing, I bumped up my withholding quite a bit on all of our income to try to cover some of that, and then I think
why would you want to do that?
Wait, slow.
And I believe I'm going to have a bit of a we're going to inherit a little bit of money.
Okay, well that would be the time.
Okay, well that could be this year.
Okay, that would be.
I don't know if so the risk in your situation here, if I look at it from a plan, I mean you're in great shape because of your pensions, right? Your pensions, Social Security. But it's the cost of, it's inflation that's the concern, right? So those pensions 20 years from now aren't going to have as much purchasing power as they do today. That's where your $1 million, a little over $1 million sitting in retirement accounts can help with that. But by having additional withholdings to pay for a Roth conversion, you are essentially sacrificing current lifestyle today, which maybe that's what you want to do.
I wouldn't.
Well,
you're 60.
I guess my response is I'm
maybe you're going to live till
lifestyle.
90. Maybe you won't, right? Like, I mean, you're retired.
What's your response?
Oh, I was saying that I'm pretty happy with my lifestyle.
Okay, well then, look, I wouldn't look if you inherited a couple $100,000 and you had the ability to pay for the
then
tax.
It's a good time to do it.
On the Roth conversion from outside, right, from a third party, from an outside source, not in an IRA or Roth IRA, then's a good time to do it. But there's unless we thought the tax rates were going to go up appreciably, and they may or may not in the state of California. I mean, you know, who knows? Or in any other state for that matter.
Some of the things that I'm thinking about that I'm not really sure that, and I've been listening to you guys forever, that you've ever really addressed is I'm in the IRA, I'm paying taxes when I withdraw, but I'm also paying taxes on all my earnings. And every day I've been earning money, and that's more going to taxes. So that's why I feel like I should go to the Roth as soon as possible. What I did find out is as I'm looking into this is IRMAA, MAGI, and I think I'm losing my temporary senior deduction that Donald gave me. So I don't know what your response is.
The Roth conversion is just going to bump that up and make your IRMAA worse.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, understand. So we're not talking about a $5 million IRA, right? We're not
with the ticking time bomb on the required minimum distribution. That's not what
we're not talking about that. And so it's $647,000. You don't have to start required minimum distributions till you're 75. You've got 10 years in there. There's no tax there unless we think tax rates are going to go up appreciably. There's no benefit because, look, I'll go through the math real quick.
But if you believe income taxes in the structure we have today are going to go up considerably for someone at this income level, then it makes sense to convert. I think, but when you balance we don't know. Nobody knows what the future is going to bring.
Yeah,
we do know that our system is not sustainable. The U.S. government can't print money forever. We can't. The subsidies, the direct transfers, they can't continue forever. At some point in time, something's going to give, right? Can't pay out as many benefits. Something's going to give. Whether that's whether that's going to cause income tax rates to rise. That's one thing I don't know. There could be a number of other taxes.
Scott, would you do it?
No, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. And so I'm going to go through.
I wouldn't even, because you can build a financial model, and it's all based on assumptions. And the assumptions, you can build it to state whatever you want. If I were in your position, I would not do it.
Yeah, and let's just quickly do the math, right? If I have $100 in an IRA, and it grows at 7.2% for 10 years. At the end of 10 years, I have $200. I'm in a 30% tax bracket. Let's say state and federal, just going to throw that out there. I take that $200 out of the IRA. How much do I have after taxes? 140, right?
30% going into taxes.
Right, 30% goes to taxes. I today say, well, I'm going to move it into a Roth IRA. So I have $100 and I move it to a Roth IRA and I'm in a 30% tax bracket. How much should I move in to the IRA, Roth IRA? I moved in $70. If it grows,
you had to pay 30% to taxes.
If it grows at 7.2% for 10 years, how much money do I have at the end of 10 years?
140.
140.
Tax free.
Right?
Same number.
It's the same number. Right? So whether you pay the tax on the beginning to the end, the idea of this Roth conversion really only works efficiently if you pay the tax with outside money. So when and if you inherit money, that is the time to actually address this.
And further, the tax brackets, your largest income comes from pensions. Do you have any cost of living adjustment on those, or
it's got a PERS pension in there?
I do. I have 2% on the STRS, automatic 2%, and then the PERS one it adjusts.
Yes,
yeah.
But they both have cost of living.
But I mean, the tax rates are going to rise based upon CPI under current structure.
And also based on your listening to you guys and believing that things are only going to get worse, I took my Social Security at 62, and my wife's going to take hers at 62 also.
Yeah.
Because we're fat cats.
Okay. If you wanted to convert some now, convert some. If it makes you feel better,
you have converted. You're already in pretty good position.
Yeah, you've got a well balanced.
The thing I'm just finding out is that I get dinged in different ways.
Yeah.
That's exactly. So you got to run the numbers, right? And there's programs out there that can do what if. You can play what if scenarios. Okay. So like our advisors, we have tools that we take someone's tax return, we upload it into the software system, and then we can do what if scenarios. Like, all right, what if we converted 40,000? How's that going to impact our taxes this year? What's it going to look like in the future? How's this going to impact? Are we going to have phase out of our deductions? Where else are we going to get hit?
How much money?
Phase outs.
How much money?
Lots of phase outs.
How much money do you think you'll inherit?
I think it's going to be probably around 200,000 or a little more.
Wait till then.
Maybe.
Wait till then.
Because if you could use outside money to pay the taxes, it makes a difference, a huge difference.
Yeah, I would wait.
Okay.
I would wait.
Okay.
At that point in time, I don't see a reason you wouldn't do it.
Okay.
All
so
right.
That's a good use of those funds.
Oh, it's yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I would agree with Pat on that.
I would wait, and at that
the thing that's the big no to us is there's not a lot in cash.
You could to
pay the tax.
Yeah, you could do it, but it's for naught.
I think I understand.
All right. Well, I appreciate the call, Max.
And it's all based upon the future. That none of us know what the future is going to bring.
And yes, and if you notice, we are no longer on the air in Sacramento, so
I'm glad you're listening to the podcast.
Listen to us on the podcast.
You know, it's interesting though, as we're talking about, we're in California, and I think this has now become a national news of this proposition to have a one-time wealth tax on billionaires.
Oh yes, one time.
What I find fascinating about this is, are they going to be able to put the genie back in the bottle, so to speak? Because we're seeing some billionaires have already left. And some people probably think, good riddance, we don't like you anyway. Well, okay.
Well, they pay 40% of the tax.
The top 1%.
The top 1% of California earners pay 40% of the
top 1%
state income tax.
Yeah. And just based upon the billionaires that have left already, we can already have the hit. But now that this is in discussion, and Elizabeth Warren had brought it up years ago when she was running a wealth tax, I think at $50 million. And other European countries have attempted this, and most of them have retracted. I think there's one or two that still have this wealth tax. The interesting thing about this, if they start at $1 billion for billionaires, it's soon down to those with $100 million, then $50 million, then $10 million, then $5 million, then $1 million, then right. I mean, that's a slippery slope.
Yes. Well, and the difference between federal government and state income tax is that the billionaires are highly mobile with their capital. Highly.
That's because
As we have seen.
buying a $5 million house in Austin or in Florida is no big deal.
Oh, they up in Incline, they were one of the Google's guys just bought a $48 million house in Incline, and I thought, I wonder if he even looked at it. Do you think he actually even walked through it? Did he send a team? Did Sergey Brin just send a team to go?
He sent a team.
I bet I wonder if he even saw the house before they bought it.
Well, the challenge, like the Google founders, Alphabet founders,
Yes.
the way this thing's written, it's not based upon your the market value of the securities that you own. It's what you have voting rights over,
Which is, so there's classes of shares.
and they've got huge voting rights, and so literally it could bankrupt. Paying a 5% surtax could
because
wipe them out.
Because of the amount of capital they control, not the amount of capital that they actually have.
Yeah, but it's interesting when you look at. It's an interesting political environment right now in a lot of states, and we're starting to see some of the waste. And whether you are regardless of what aisle you're on the political side, I think a lot of people now are there's been this kind of flashlight into the amount of government waste, and a lot of these tech people have been very large Democratic supporters, and they're all kind of saying, "Wait a minute, why are we going to continue to raise revenue? Why don't we clean up our books here?" They all business people; they know how to manage expenses, and they're thinking, "Why are we wasting all these dollars?" And we've had people that have supported these causes a few years ago that are now stating it's time for something to change. So I just find it interesting, and you look at California, and you look at some of these people that are leaving. And you wonder if it's just like it's so hard to do things in California that is this just kind of rung the dinner bell to enough people like I've had enough here, and it'll create a spiraling effect on the state.
Oh, yes, which means
the pension obligations we have,
Yeah.
there's no way we're going to get back into a positive.
yes.
We're not going to get a budget surplus without cutting a lot of expenses in the state.
If people that are making the payments leave, it's like your client base left, but the expenses still sit there
and continue to grow.
Yes. It's interesting. Well, there's in many businesses there's inefficiencies, and obviously, government agencies that need to act on actually measure key performance indicators better for dollar in, dollar out. So every charity I've ever sat on, charities have a tendency to bloat themselves as well. And every board I've ever sat on, and as a charity, I said, well, let's start with our key performance indicators. What are we doing?
It's funny.
What's the objective, and what's it costing us per? The Sacramento Food Bank, we measured every dollar, what it cost per pound of food and what type of food was actually being delivered, to figure out whether we were actually efficient or inefficient.
I was on a board call this morning. I'm being interviewed to this board, a large organization.
Are you on the board?
No, I'm a candidate.
Congratulations, buddy.
They asked why I'm interested. I said, I don't really know if I am. In so many words, like it's a big responsibility. It's a very large organization. And one of the questions that they brought to me is how would I manage the tension in the marketplace? The bottom line is the bottom line. It's pretty easy. You've got money to measure whether you're successful or not, right? Like
in a business,
in the marketplace, a business, either your customer likes your product and service and they pay you and you make enough margin, you're making some money, or they don't and you eventually fold and go out of business. So they said, how do you manage? How do you think about this in a nonprofit? And to your point, Pat, it was, what are those KPIs? What I said, we need to measure, like, I don't care what we're doing. If we're heading down a path, what are we trying to accomplish? And what are those steps that we're going to take to achieve that objective? And it doesn't matter what we're doing. There's always some sort of measurements on our activity. Because if we can't measure that activity, then what's the point? How do we know? How in the world do we know if we're successful or not?
Yeah, because the inputs could go on forever.
Which is the problem with so many government programs.
Right. That's correct. And not, look, the problem we have talking about this on the show is that we come off as fat cats. Like, you guys
I moved to Sacramento, Pat, I moved to Sacramento in 1991. I rented a bedroom out of this house for $300 a month. There were months I did, and I was a financial planner at the time.
Yes. So, in air quotes.
Yes. But this is the path I wanted to go down. Like, I saw a future here. I thought I can make a difference in people's lives in this particular industry. There were months I didn't have the $300 to pay the rent, and I had to get cash advance on my credit card to make it happen. So, yeah, maybe it's okay today and I can go out and spend $300 on dinner with my wife and not worry about it. But I clearly remember being very, very broke. I wasn't going to starve in the United States. I could always go to the Sacramento Food Bank if I needed a meal.
But now that you have it, right, your capital is mobile. And in the states that get into this problem, I mean, look at the exodus out of northeastern high tax states into Florida. It's staggering. It's mind boggling. And a lot of that is driven by weather.
Yes. Gee, I haven't seen the sun in 3 months.
Weather and tax rates. Anyway.
Yeah. Hey, I want to let everyone know about our February webinar that we've coming up. The title of it is Strategic Moves for Volatile Markets. It seems kind of timely. And I'm going to be hosting along with Victoria Bogner, who's Allworth's head of wealth planning. And it's really designed for those that have a portfolio of $2 million or more. If you're fortunate enough to be retired with these large pensions and don't have as much, you've got a huge net worth, but it's not necessarily liquid type. So this is really for people with portfolios of $2 million or more. And I think some of the things you'll learn, it's about a 45-minute webinar, but you're going to learn how tactical Roth conversion strategies, which we talked about earlier, how it can turn down markets into long-term tax advantages. So it's an opportunity there. Portfolio retirement techniques to help reduce downside exposure and uncover some hidden risks. Some smarter diversification tactics for today's ever-shifting market environment, and some liquidity planning, and really some behavioral guardrails that support decision-making when you're under pressure. So those are the things we're going to, all in 45 minutes.
But Scott, a lot of the people that listen to our program like to do it themselves.
Yeah,
I would encourage all of those people to attend this.
Absolutely.
So, because you don't know what you don't know. And especially downside protection and tax loss harvesting and putting those in the bank to carry forward. Oh, they're beautiful. And many people don't do it because they're like, well, what's the point? Right, but if you could tax loss harvest and you've got this,
particularly if you know every situation is different.
That's okay. Fair enough.
So this is our strategic moves for volatile markets webinar, February 11th, February 14th, February 19th, and February 21st. That's when it's happening. You're going to sign up at allworthfinancial.com/workshops. And consider we don't have a radio telling us when we have to end, when we don't have to end. I think we're going to wrap things up today. So if you find this program helpful, useful, a couple things. One, forward it to somebody that you in your life that you think might. And look, like you said, Pat, a lot of our listeners do it on their own, and they spend a lot of time educating themselves, and they're knowledgeable and they're wise, and they make good choices for themselves. And if that's you, great, and we appreciate you listening. But there's probably people in your life that you love dearly that don't have the financial acumen you have that could benefit from this program. So if you can think of a name or two, forward them, whether it's this episode or one that you think that's germane to their situation. We'd appreciate it. And also, make sure you follow us wherever you get your podcast. If you just hit the follow button, you get it delivered automatically. And if you're there, if you haven't given us a rating, give us a rating as well. So that's all the time we've got. This has been Scott Hansen and Pat McLean of Allworth's Money Matters.
This program has been brought to you by Allworth Financial, a registered investment advisory firm. Any ideas presented during this program are not intended to provide specific financial advice. You should consult your own financial advisor, tax consultant, or estate planning attorney to conduct your own due diligence.